Hello, hello, hello. My name is Shannon C. I am a final year student here at Pacific School of Religion, graduating in May. Very excited about that. The plight of women in this world in general has been one in which we've been treated as less than. And this has not always been, but definitely years beyond what any of us can remember ourselves. There once was a time where, and this would be in many cultures, many spiritual paths, where there was such a thing as the divine feminine, and the divine feminine being the energy that brings things to creation, right? The body from which things are born. Somewhere along the line, that goddessness or that divine feminine was pushed to the back, and patriarchy became the flavor of the day. And women were seen as less than and told they were less than, and were paid less, and were not allowed to preach behind some pulpits, and were not entitled to the titles that some churches will give to the men in the church or those who identify as male. So we've seen also a rise and uptick in the murder of transgender women as well. There's something about the divine feminine that is intimidating, I believe, to patriarchy. And thinking of the most recent incidences in regards to those who were murdered as of late, the shootings, just absolutely, I'm gobsmacked that even today in 2021, the female form still is not seen as a goddess and not treated as such, right? For myself, part of the question that I'll be answering in regard to how do I feel, what is the most uncomfortable about showing up in society as a woman? I'll put the layer of Black woman on there and the layer of queer woman as well. It's nothing new. It's always felt uncomfortable with being queer and showing up. It's been uncomfortable with showing up as just being Black. It's been uncomfortable showing up as female as well. One thing that's important for we as women to consider and to also embrace is our greatness. We need to begin to embrace the divine feminine that we are. So much so that anything someone else says to us that negates that will be powerless magic. So the way that I show up, yeah, there are times I'm very uncomfortable. I mean, you have to think of your physical safety, just in regard to your size compared to someone who maybe has more of a muscle build, and sexual harassment is an issue, and sexual assault is an issue, and domestic violence is an issue, and murder, being shot, being unarmed is an issue. As a woman, we have to be thinking of those things at all times. And it's a shame that we can't live without thinking about how do we protect ourselves today. But we realize human female body, the goddess body, is not respected. And there are people out there whose mission is to rob you of your sanctity, of your peace of mind, of your body, of your spirit, of your mind, of your emotions. It's rough. But I'm coming into a new knowing about myself and how I show up. And, I'm becoming more vocal about where I stand and what I believe about myself. You can't change my mind about me anymore. That's my superpower right now. This one is hard to verbalize an answer to. There needs to be care and consideration and gentleness given to our Asian communities and our Asian women in this time of culturally the expectation of being second to patriarchy, right? The patriarchy of the culture. And then on that top of that, also being victimized within the American context or the United States context. And there's a challenge. I wish I had, it's not advice that I have to give per se. Just I can identify with this showing up. If you show up while Asian and you're a female, there's an expectation that society puts on you to be demure, quiet, almost subservient. And I'm not generalizing this to the Asian community. There's something about that, an expectation about that in my culture as well, especially with the layer of Christianity added to that. Ladies are supposed to act like this, and you serve your husbands, make sure they have all their meals and bring them their slippers when they come home from work. I remember growing up that's what I was taught. When your dad comes home from work, everyone be quiet. He needs time to rest. I need you to help me make his dinner. And I'd be thinking to myself, but you've been with us all day. We have driven you crazy, mother. When do you get to rest? And now fast forward, I'm a mother. My children are in their 20s, but even so, I remember thinking of that when I was in relationship with my children's father, that same thing of like telling my daughters, let's be quiet for daddy. Daddy's sleeping. It's so old school. So fast forward to today. That type of environment has taught us to remain quiet. It took our voice away. It took away our ability to be able to speak against systems that were attempting to keep us down. And this would be my community, the Asian community as well, this voicelessness, that the expectation is that you keep your voice low. Do not raise your voice, always speak very calmly, very demure. And that stole our voice when we should be, especially now in this time of just absolute disrespect for marginalized communities. And it wasn't just Trump that has done this. This has always been. He just became the catalyst for all of us being able to see it right in our faces. So now here we are in this time where people feel extremely comfortable with showing violence toward a demographic, an Asian demographic, at any whim. Imagine if we get our voices back and some weaponry and realize how powerful we truly are. They're trying to take what is rightfully ours as women, and that is our respect and our humanity. And this is not just Trump supporters. This isn't a white and black issue. This isn't a white and Asian issue. Across the world, across the globe, there is injustice being done toward women's bodies. There's injustice being done towards black bodies. There's injustice being done toward Asian bodies. The best thing that I can do is to continue to walk in community with those who are marginalized as myself, and some in different ways, and to speak out when I see it, you know? Advice would be find your voice. That's the only thing I can think of, because the Black community, we as Black women, we're still trying to figure it out ourselves. It's been a couple hundred years of trying to figure out ourselves. But what has worked for us is, no matter how much people try to keep you down and keep you quiet, you speak out. You band together and speak out. If I had a dream about what equality is, it would look the same as the pictures I colored when I was a child. This circle of children holding hands from different nations, different skin colors, different hair textures, just different facial features. And them holding their hands around a globe, like in a loving way, or seeing each other as friends, right? So equality for me as a dream would be adults acting in that same way today, where there is no need to put one color above the other, or no need to put those with money above those who don't have it, need to put those who've had education and those who haven't, this separation. I think it's important, however, that within our cultures, that we be pro our culture. I'm perfectly fine with that, because by my saying I'm pro-Black does not mean that I'm anti anyone else. But there is a pride there that I have about my Black people. But equality is something completely different. To be able to see someone as equal, you need to first be able to see the value within yourself and your own culture. Okay? Because there's a power dynamic that's happening here in the United States, and has always been. This country has been established on power, the haves and the have-nots. So if we have individuals immigrating, cultures immigrating into this society that's already been established to put you under, you're going to come less than first. Then the expectation when you get here is to do your very best, but to also remain in community when you can, to help to enforce and to grow and nurture you, so that you keep your traditions to yourselves, and reach out to other minority communities as well, and everybody work together. That equality thing is like, there's my dream as a kid, and then there's the reality. We're not all holding hands standing around the globe. We're not holding hands at all, especially now during COVID. We're not touching hands. But that would be my dream, would be to bring back the innocence of what we dreamed when we were young, before we were soured by politics and oh my gosh, marginalization. I remember what it was like when I was a child and not needing to wake up and wonder about how am I going to pay the rent, or how am I going to buy food, or any of those things, or even being cognizant of someone not liking me or supporting me because of being Black, But then you grow up and you see the inequality. There are people that are living in tents in Berkeley, like literally living in tents on the side of the road and under bridges. How is that equal? How is that even equal to me sitting here in campus housing? But what can I do? I can take meals. I could take warm clothes, right? Money, if needed. So with regard to marginalized groups in general, I mean, it's no one way is the right way per se. But I do have a dream that one day we will be like that, this all-inclusive space of holding hands around the globe. I may be 90 when it happens. That's what I'd like to see.